How can you record your videos and live streams to be able to repurpose them super easily and have a structure in mind? So, if you're looking to be able to reuse your videos, your Facebook Lives, and create multiple different assets and things from it, I'm going to give you the structure today with how I structure my Facebook Lives now, so it makes the editing and repurposing process so much quicker and easier. It's going to save you a lot of re-recording. It's going to make the editing process super easy. And so it's going to help you save time and effort and be able to get more from the work that you do once. So stick around for this whole video. I'm going to give you this exact structure that I use and that you can use too. And it's going to make things so much easier for you. So, welcome to today's Brilliantly You Business Show. Hope you are well. My name is Jenny Stevens. So, every single Thursday, I go live with a brand new episode of the Brilliantly You Business Show, and I reuse this. So I want to give you some of that structure today and some of the things that I do with this very live weekly show that I do, because I know a lot of people are really interested in learning about repurposing, and so I'm going to give you some of my top tips with recording it, how to record it with all of that repurposing stuff in mind, which is super cool. So if you are excited to get these tips, just pop in a number 1 in the comments. Let me see you. And yeah, I am excited. So we're talking about how to record your video. So, I mean, it can be Facebook Live because it is mostly about live streams, but you can use this same process when you're pre-recording it as well. The cool thing with pre-recording is you can sort of stop and start. So I create this live video and then I turn it into different assets. I share it on different platforms. And that's what repurposing is. I'm reusing the work that I've done once into smaller and different types of modalities. So we've got video, I turn it into written versions as a blog post. I'm just now almost ready to launch a new podcast, which is going to be this show as well. I create images for Instagram. You know, I repurpose this a lot, okay? But it all starts with this very video, this very live stream that I do every single week. And I want to share the structure that the last couple of months, particularly, I've been a lot more mindful about how I'm recording the video and the words that I use and the method and the structure. So it makes my life a lot easier. So we're all about making things easier, right, for ourselves, especially if you are wearing all the hats. You know, if you haven't got a VA yet, I'm just literally right now, I'm hiring my VA to help me because I'm busier now and I need to offload some stuff. But, you know, I've been doing this show since January 2021. So as of obviously recording this video and recording this show, it's been 9 months of doing this every single week. And so I've added more things, I've tested and tweaked and evolved and stuff, but it's been just me doing it all. So these tips are really going to help you if you're kind of doing everything yourself right now to make the job a lot simpler. So the structure then with how I record my videos, and see if you can obviously spot these things as well. Now, I don't always get it perfect. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I miss things out. Sometimes I forget things. But for the most part, I keep these things in mind. And there's a couple of things that you absolutely need to make sure you do to make the editing process so much easier. And I've got to be honest, I don't always remember to do this, but it's so helpful. So the very first thing you want to do when you are starting your videos, starting your Facebook Lives, it might be an Instagram, any kind of live video, it doesn't matter where you're doing it. The very first thing you want to start off with, it's not Hey guys, how are you? I'm just going to give a second for people to come on in. Like, we don't want to do any of that stuff. The very first thing you want to start off with is what is the title of your video? And so I spend time thinking about the title of my videos to try and get them to be compelling, make sure they're clear on what it's about so people know, oh, yeah, I want to get that. So I will either start off with the title of my video. So, for example, you might have 3 steps to structure your Facebook Lives to repurpose. Um, or you can open with a question that's going to really resonate with people so they know, oh, I need to watch this, because they can kind of relate themselves to your opening question. Okay, so so many people kind of make this mistake when they start their videos is they'll go, hey guys, or hey Facebook, hey Instagram, or I'm just gonna give a minute for people to come on live. Forget that. You want to get off the ground straight away. We all know what it's like. We've all got the attention span of a fish. So you've got to get that very first sentence, in the first few seconds, you need to let people know exactly what you're going to give them. Say the title of your video, or you can use some kind of opening question that is going to really let people know, get them to think about, oh, I have this. For example, I might say something like, are you struggling to edit your videos and reuse them? Well, if that's the case, then this video, I'm going to give you X amount, the structure of my Facebook Lives, so you can use a question to start them off as well. So it's really important that you start those videos in the first few seconds, you get to the point as quickly as possible. Because you know what it's like when we're scrolling, it's like make or break. Okay. Then what you're going to do, so if you are giving like so many tips, so if you've got 3 or 4 tips you're going to give today, or so many steps, so if you've kind of got like a number of steps, tips, ways, like whatever it is, then when you're giving each one, and I've started doing this just the last few weeks particularly, I've really thought, oh, I need to just tweak how I'm starting out each step or each tip or each kind of bullet point that I'm going to talk about. So the second part of that structure for your videos is to say what the step is. So I don't know whether you just noticed, I said the second structure, or the second part of the structure for your Facebook Lives, when you are creating each tip, be clear. So, for example, you might say, so the first way that you can start out to record your videos to get to the point so you can really reuse them easier is, and then you'd give your content. So, as you're giving your content, you're going to start out again, that first sentence, almost like it's a brand new video. So then when you get to step 2, you'd go, and the second step for how to, like, fill in the blank, again, whatever your title, you can just use the title that you've created for your video. The reason that we do that, or I do that, and it's recommended, is because let's say if you've got 3 tips to give and you're going to split them out. By giving that almost sort of new intro title step, if you like, don't know the best way to describe it, you can then chop up your video, like your longer video, into 3. So you can then split out and have tip 1 as its own individual video. You can then split out step 2, that tip 2, whatever it is, into its own individual video, and then the same for 3, and however many tips or whatever it is that you're giving. So that's the reason now that I will do, if you kind of ever watch any of my other videos, if you're intend to watching more, you'll probably notice that I will do that and say, I don't always do it. And this has only been something that I've been a lot more intentional about the last few weeks, but it's really helping. So when I can then split up my videos, if I wanted to share a 1-minute video on Instagram and I can fit in that individual tip, it can then go as an Instagram video. Or you can have shorter IGTVs. That's something I'm going to be testing out. At the moment, I upload my edited long video and I put it on IGTV on Instagram. But I'm going to test out actually sharing like shorter videos, almost like a series. So that's a great tip for you to help you do it. And so it's going to take practice. It might feel a bit weird. And if you ever feel like, but aren't the people who are watching live going to think that's a bit weird? No. They might wonder why you're doing it, but it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Oh, I missed out a step. I've just looked at my notes. I just realized I missed out a step. So before, it doesn't really matter. So I mentioned about doing your opener. Note to yourself, make sure you've got your notes and you actually look at them. Before you do your content, introduce yourself. So again, this is something that people can often do, is when they first start their Facebook lives, they'll say, hey, I'm Jenny, I do this, da, 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 da. Again, start out with that opener or that question or the title of your video. Then you can introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm here. Like for me, I do the introduction of my show and myself after I do that. And make sure you tell them what you're going to tell them. And then you go and tell them. Anyone who's from the corporate world, you probably would have heard that. It's like, tell them what you're going to tell them, then you go and tell them, and then you remind them and recap about what you just told them. That's essentially what we're doing with our videos. You're going to tell them what they're going to learn, what the benefits of why they should watch it, what's the benefit to them about what these things you're going to share in your video, how it's going to help and benefit them. And one other little bonus tip that I do now as well is I will say after my little intro, after my opener, stick around for the whole video or make sure you watch to the end. Or again, it just encourages people to watch the whole video and hopefully not just skip away. And then I go into the content. So I'm probably going to have to sort of edit this a little bit. I haven't done it perfectly. Don't worry, you can, if you are going to edit videos to use later, you can edit things out. So then you're going to go into your content, which is then we're going to go into that, give them then tip 1 with this is tip number 1 with how you can, and then whatever kind of like the title of your video is. Then pause. Make sure you give yourself little pauses in between each thing as well. This is something that I have to really make myself do, because I can just, and I think it's a general thing, we tend to just need to fill the space, right? We tend to, I use so many words like, so when I'm editing my videos, I'm like, wow, I use the word so a lot, and I annoy myself, and my husband laughs at me because he hears me do them. Or when I'm editing my videos, he's like, wow, here you go, right, so and our brains just need to fill in the gaps. So when you are recording your videos, especially with live streaming, having this structure in your mind, be mindful then, remember to take a breath. Remember to give a pause of like a second or 2. This is going to make the editing process so much easier. It's really hard. Like if you're doing the editing yourself, like I use iMovie on my Mac, and if there's no space, it can be tricky to sometimes get it really clean. So be mindful. Take a pause. Speak a bit slower. And that's another little bonus tip for you. That's another really good thing to do to kind of accentuate certain points. Like if I'm talking about something quite serious, or I really want people to listen even more so to a particular piece, I purposely slow down. And sometimes I'll say, I'm going to say that again. And, say it twice if I really want to get a certain message across to you, to my viewers, to whoever is watching. So that's another great little tip for how to kind of structure your videos. So far we've got your opener, which you're going to get straight into the title of your video or some kind of opening question, and then the title of your video. Tell them what you're going to tell them and why it's going to benefit them. Like, why should they stick around and watch or listen, whatever the modality is that you're doing? So this can be used for podcasts as well. Tell them what to watch the whole video. And if you can get all of that in a minute, bonus. You'll get a Brucey bonus point. If you can get that whole little section in under a minute, fab. And the reason for that is so you can use it on Instagram. You can only have 1 minute videos. So it's a great way to be able to have those short videos, and you can get that, a way to say, watch the whole thing. Then that's going to be much easier for you to kind of edit that. Then you're going to introduce yourself, okay, and say who you are. Make it short, concise. Tell them who you help, how you help them, and any kind of things that need to know. Keep it short and sweet. Then go into your content. And then the content, you're going to purposely pause in between each sort of step, bullet, tip, whatever you're giving them, and give that step 2 for how to X, fill in the blank. That's going to help you be able to split out each tip into its own video. So I hope you're still with me, and I hope this is making sense. Then, and throughout that, remember to just pause, take a breath, and if you need to redo a bit, like I messed up my words earlier, it's okay. You can just kind of restart that little section if you need to. Again, people aren't really going to worry too much. And you can always, I remember a lot of stuff I learned about doing some, like a show to repurpose stuff, was from a lady called Molly something. I can't remember what her surname is. And she actually tells people on her live videos, at the end, I'm going to do a couple of little pieces for my repurposing. So if you kind of see me doing that, don't worry. And I love the fact that she's really open about that. And so when she then does, she does like a little recap thing at the end of her live videos. And she says, like, I'm just going to do this quick little piece while I'm live, because you just kind of do it and get it done. And she hasn't got to worry about doing it later. And then she can just kind of cut that out from her live videos. That's a cool little thing, isn't it? Then you're going to give a call to action. Tell people what you want them to do next. If you have some kind of freebie, some kind of lead magnet you want to give people, maybe you're going to pop the link in the comments for those people that are on a live video. You can say, go to this link. What I do sometimes is I will type it into, so I'm using a software called Be Live. I'll put a link to this in the resources section of my show notes. It's a fab tool. I've got a referral link for you where you can actually get some money off. And so you can I can type in something. Hold on, and it should appear in the comments. And then with this software, there we go, I can then bring it up. So I will then pop in the link to anything that I want to refer people to go and have a look at. And it's going to go into the comments of the Facebook Live, so people can then click on it. Or I can also bring it up on the screen as well to show people what I want them to do. So that's a cool thing, useful thing to do. Also, you'll notice I've got kind of the title of my video. I just tweaked it slightly just for this little ticker tape thing. So I have this going down the bottom as well. Or you might want to say, comment below if you want to get X and I'll reach out to you, DM me, like whatever your call to action is. Make sure you're following me, subscribe. Don't give, like 10 call to actions, but make it clear. And with the call to actions, I will do kind of 2. So I will do one that's for my live viewers. So I'll say, if you're here with me live, there's a link in the comments. Go and check that out and go and grab my freebie, for example. And then I will say afterwards, again, I'll pause and then I'll say, and if you're watching this on the replay or on another platform, because I share this video to Instagram, onto my website in my show notes, which is like a blog post. I'm now going to be sharing it as a podcast. Where else does it go? YouTube. So people are going to be watching this video or listening to this episode in different places. So I try to make it as generic as possible by saying, check around this video or episode for the link to the show notes for all of this week's resources. So for me personally, this is what I do with my show. I turn each episode, I do it as a video. I then create like a summary version as a written blog. It's like a shortened version of everything I cover in the video. And I have the video in there as well. I'm soon going to be adding in the podcast episodes as well. So sad. So definitely keep your eye out for some exciting stuff coming about that soon. And then that blog post will get shared on different places. And the video that I've edited and uploaded to YouTube goes into Instagram. So I do a lot with it. And it might sound like a lot of work. The things that take the longest is editing the video and writing the blog post. The rest of it is pretty quick and easy. It can be done in quite a short amount of time. So it sounds more than what it is. But it's great because it means I get the most out of it. And that's what I want for you. And that's what the beauty of repurposing your videos is, because it means you get more people seeing your stuff that you've spent your hard time and effort and spent so much time and effort doing all your hard work. You want to try and get as many people seeing it as possible. So by turning it into different types of assets and different modalities, meaning video, written, whatever, image, it means more people are going to see it, because some people who maybe will never watch this video because they're not video people, but they might see my carousel on Instagram, or they might read my blog post, for example. So when you're giving your call to action, do one for the live. If you're doing a live video as your method, as like creating it, give one version that's for the live, and then give some, just then say it again, but for your kind of replay version. So I put the link to my show notes, essentially my blog post, in my YouTube video and Instagram. So I will say, check around this video for the link to the show notes where all the resources are. And then I have a whole resources section for anything I've mentioned or anything that I think is going to help those people with that particular topic. You may not do all those things yet, and you may not want to do all, and that's fine. Just think about how you're going to give a call to action. And then at the end, then I might kind of come back in and check on any engagement, check on any comments, maybe ask a question to get people to say, hey, what's your biggest takeaway from this episode? So I love to ask a question. So I'd love to hear from you. What's been something that maybe you've taken away from today, from this episode so far? Anything that's maybe new to you, you hadn't thought about before? Please share that with me below in the comments. I'd love to hear that from you. And again, don't worry about it being perfect. Like, I haven't got it all perfect today, which, it's sod's law that I'm giving I'm giving this topic today. I mean, this particular video, I haven't necessarily done like step 1, step 2. I'm just kind of going through the structure. But if you look at previous episodes, especially of the last few episodes, I have done that. So you can check those out wherever you're watching or listening to this. You'll see the previous episodes for you to be able to go and watch or listen to or read, to be able to, obviously the reading, that won't count, but it'll be done in the video. So you can then see how I do it if you want just to kind of a bit of an actual in real life example. All right. So that's the structure. Again, it takes practice. Don't worry if you mess it up. This is just, there's no right or wrong with it. This is just something that I've started doing just to try and make the rest of the process that comes after recording this live video and doing this live episode easier. Anything that I can do to help save time, effort, energy for myself, and I share that with you, what things I find works, is, that's thumbs up in my eyes. So go and try it out. And again, you might tweak it. You might make it more your own. You might go, oh, actually, I like this. Test things out. That's kind of the only way you can really figure out what works for you and for your audience. And if you want to be able to kind of learn more, again, I've got another episode where I talked about how I actually repurpose this show. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And I'm going to be doing something cool soon to kind of really help people, because I get asked this a lot because people know I repurpose this show. It comes up when I'm being interviewed or if I'm on kind of panels and stuff. People are like, oh, Jenny, tell people through it. So I want to do something soon to really kind of help people get to grips with this and really get their own process going. So nothing here at the moment, but if you are watching this and it's later on, there may well be an extra resource in the resources section of the show notes for this episode that you can go and check out. But there's a great blog post that I did after I'd started this whole process about 3 months in. I was like, what's working? What can I maybe drop? What's something new that I want to do? I started out very small and very simple, and I've kind of added things as I've gone. And I'm always assessing to see how things are going, for how things are working, for, actually how many people are watching and looking at the content, and also how the process is working for me as the content creator. So I highly recommend that you do that too. So I'm glad you're finding this useful. I will obviously put this in a nice structure in the show notes for you this week. If you're watching this obviously on a replay or on another platform, you should find a link to this week's show notes in the description of the video or around this episode, where you can go and access that and get all of the summary of this episode and also any resources. So go and make sure you check around this to go and get further help. See what I did there? That was my little call to action for people. So I just kind of did it twice, which was great. Cool. So I'm glad you found this useful. Go and have a go. And I'd love to know how it goes for you. And again, it's going to take a bit of practice. It's still kind of me getting used to it as well, because it doesn't always, some of those things, they're not so natural. You have to kind of purposely think, oh, I need to say this. I need to make sure that I word this in a particular way. I need to make sure that I've got, this in there. And so the more you do it, the easier it will become. And if you need to have like a little post-it on your screen that has that structure, do that. Then you can do that just to kind of help prompt you with what to do. So I'm going to share my whole process about repurposing this show soon in, like I say, something special. Just got to think about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. So stay tuned for more. So if this kind of topic really interests you, then definitely kind of make sure that you're subscribed, you're following me, so you can be notified of when that's going to be coming out. To make sure you're on my email list, because that's normally the first place that I announce things. And so if you get the show notes, then you'll be on my email list as well. So thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day and the rest of your week. And I'll see you all next week on another episode of the Brilliantly You Business Show. Take care. Bye.